2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, everyone. It's Friday the 30th of September and it's International Podcast Day. And a big happy birthday to Kieran Culkin, Monica Bellucci, T-Pain and Fran Drescher. As Britain's banking system floundered, the nation kept asking the same question. Where exactly is brand new Prime Minister Liz Truss? Well, on Thursday morning, she was all over local radio. In a poorly planned piece of media strategy, she lined up 8 interviews with BBC local stations back to back, and it didn't go that well. First up, BBC Radio Leeds and presenter Rima Ahmed.
The Bank of England has had to spend £65 billion to prop up the markets. Where have you been?
Then there was a quick check-in at BBC Norfolk, where she couldn't answer questions about funding for the local hospital, and on to BBC Kent and Anna Cookson.
And Lydia says, are you ashamed of what you've done, are you?
3 down, 5 to go, and not going much better when asked about her own policy on BBC Nottingham.
This is why we've taken action to make sure that people's bills are no more than £2,500.
Well, that's just not true. It's a projected minimum for an average house. OK, maybe things will go better on BBC Bristol.
Can you guarantee to my listeners this morning that their pensions are safe?
Well, the Bank of England does a very, very good job on delivering financial stability.
Oh, final chance. BBC Stoke's got a question on mortgages.
We're going to spend more in mortgage fees under what you've done based on the predictions than we would have saved with energy.
I don't think anybody is arguing that we shouldn't have acted on energy.
Given the chaos of the last week, it wasn't really surprising to see a new YouGov poll putting Labour at 54% support versus 21% for the Conservatives. That would give Labour an almost 350-seat majority if an election were held today. With both Liz Truss and Kwarteng due to meet the Office for Budget Responsibility on Friday, can the new Chancellor clarify the government's position or maybe at least repair some of the harm done by the mini-budget?
Without growth, you're not going to get the public services. We're not going to generate the income and the tax revenue to pay for the public services that we want to see. And that's why the mini-budget was absolutely essential in resetting the debate around growth and focusing us on delivering much better growth outcomes for our people.
Doesn't sound like this Chancellor's for turning, but maybe he's seeing something we're not. Let's check in with senior economist at the IPPR Centre for Economic Justice, Karsten Jung.
You know, the pound fell 4% on the day of the budget, not the day before when the Bank of England made their announcement. So it was clearly a response to the huge fiscal hole that the Chancellor is punching into public finances.
Russia has announced that it will formally annex 4 regions of Ukraine on Friday. President Putin will make a major speech as he welcomes the new territories of Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk and Luhansk into Russia. It follows the sham referenda, which has been widely condemned, including by UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, who pointed out it's a violation of international law. Russia has also announced that 100,000 additional troops have now mobilised, and social media channels are full of images of the newly conscripted being sent to the front lines. Ukrainian President Zelensky sent a message in Russian to those soldiers.
If you want to stay alive, run. If you want to stay alive, surrender. If you want to stay alive, fight. Fight on your streets and for your freedom.
It comes as a New York Times investigations obtained phone calls made by Russian soldiers from the war zone, and they don't sound happy.
Our offense has stalled. We're losing this war.
Half of our regiment is gone. Putin is a fool. He wants to take Kyiv, but we can't do it.
The US remains under threat from Hurricane Ian, which was upgraded again overnight as it continues to track across Florida and towards South Carolina, leaving a wave of destruction and flooding in its wake. It's now thought to be the deadliest hurricane in Florida's history, with images of destroyed houses, boats and roads emerging. There's also an expectation there may be substantial loss of life as the floodwaters recede. With over 2 million people still without power, US President Joe Biden attended a Federal Emergency Management Agency briefing on Thursday evening and pledged his continuing support.
But we know many families are hurting, many, and our entire country hurts with them. My message to the people of Florida, to the country, is at times like this, America comes together. We're going to pull together as one team, as one America.
Still to come on the Smart 7, Red Bull get revved up in Singapore and Timothy Chalamet's pleased to eat you. Right after this. Welcome back.
3,
This weekend sees the Formula One Singapore Grand Prix take place. It's a dramatic and spectacular night race on a twisting and turning track, and the drivers are looking forward to the challenge. The race has attracted some celebrity fans too, with Alan Carr and Jamie Redknapp filming for a league of their own in the Red Bull garage. Current championship leader Max Verstappen is over 100 points ahead of his nearest rival Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, so he's pretty relaxed going into the weekend.
Championship deciding weekend?
I mean, not really. We just tried to have a good weekend. I mean, to win it here would be nice, but it's not something I'm really thinking about.
Jackass and its crew of borderline masochists were a real cultural phenomenon in the early noughties. Some have grown old relatively gracefully. Johnny Knoxville, for example, now has grey hair but almost all of his own teeth. Stevo, on the other hand, well, it's a miracle he's walking around at all. But he is, and he even says he's matured with age. He popped up on Seth Meyers' Late Night Show to chat about his new book called, I Kid You Not, A Hard Kick in the Nuts. He says it's a request he gets from fans all the time.
It's like, dude, is there any way I could get you to kick me in the nuts? And my position on it used to be, who am I to dash a man's dreams?
Sure.
You know, of course.
Very kind of you. You're very giving.
But I've since matured, and as such, I've retired from nut kicking.
There's a brand new romantic horror movie on the way. I say brand new, I don't really think there are any movies quite like this one. It's called Bones and All, and it stars Timothée Chalamet alongside Taylor Russell as two young love-struck cannibals. It's directed by Luca Guadagnino, who also directed Chalamet in Call Me By Your Name, which in perfect symmetry featured wannabe human cannibal Armie Hammer. It looks, well, pretty delicious.
You don't think I'm a bad person?
All I think is that I love you.
You look like the kind that's convinced himself he's got this under his thumb. But you pull on one little thread and I'm ready.
My lord. This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day.
Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.